dead. What is your problem? What did you just say? Through means of my particular personality and the exposition that I gained from looking at the text, I'm going to make it perfectly clear for you. And so that we would stop deliberately misusing God's divine law to practice sin. Let's stop denying what God has already stated. I believe that he's stating in these verses that sin is sin. Sin is sin. Why has this developed as a problem within the Christian community today? Because what we've done is we've taken that is sin and we call it, I need some psychotherapy. I'm weak. That's the way I was raised. It's a Latino thing, it's a black thing, it's a white thing, it's an Asian thing. And Paul is saying, nah, sin is sin. People do not naturally or normally think of themselves as sinners. I would say that first of all. You ain't walking around, Charles, and calling yourself a sinner. No. You're going to go there and he says, I'm Charles. I am a sinner. Oh, no. You aren't going to do that. You're going to walk around and you're going to say, I am Charles and I'm a saint. And those folk are going to say, thank you. And then they're going to be looking at you and then they're going to see you sin. Now we have a contradiction. It ain't no paradox, it's a contradiction. So I would say, first of all, that people don't like to see themselves as sinners. But let's go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 5, and let's see what God says about the situation. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5 points out something. And I'll read it. It says, and the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Now, I just said, hey, you aren't going to go on that job, or you aren't going to go to that school, and you aren't going to tell anybody that you're a sinner. But I believe that what we have to do is we must track with the definition that God retains concerning his creation. He says everything you're doing all day long is messed up. I don't care what your position is in this church. I don't care how much good works you think you do. God has said that the creation is continuously blowing it. Now here's where the paradox comes in. But I'm a believer. You don't call me a sinner, man. I'm a saint, man. I know how holy I am. Thoroughly deceived. I don't know how holy I am. I can't see my own holiness. As a matter of fact, I wrote on my whiteboard at home before I left, Lucy, I love. Delia, I love. Leslie, I love. The church, I love. And right under it, I said, me, I can't stand. And I said, help, Lord, help, Lord, help, Lord, help, Lord, help, Lord. That's in my office before I came to church. Now, I didn't put down there, I'm this, and I'm that, and you ought to be pleased because I'm thinking about preaching this. And I said, me, I can't stand. Oh, yes, you're a sinner, especially if you feel more highly of yourself than you ought to feel. Who today would tell you that they believe that their inclinations are evil? Nobody. Nobody's going to share with you that their inclinations are evil continually. So quickly, we can come to church and feel so good, and so quickly the minute we leave. As a matter of fact, I dare to say that some of you were here today, and you had a thought that came through your mind so quick, and you didn't stop it and retrieve it and say, boy, you better deal with that. Lady, you better deal with that. You worked on that thought, and you came to a conclusion, and God said, I didn't say that, you did. People do not want to desire or recognize certain things as sin unless they can be shown that those things transgress the law of God. Now I'm going to come down to two things how this works. A is that people are prone to do those things that are against the laws of nature. In other words, things that lie outside of the character of godliness. You're prone to do those things that lie outside of God's command. Or you're prone to do it. Oh, I don't care how much Bible you read, you are prone to blow it. Remove me from the person that is not prone. That person is angelic. They are a special agent messenger of God. They have their wings now. They are ready to be elevated into the heavenlies. Resurrect them. They are too holy for me. Secondly, people disregard standards of fair play. See, people don't want to be fair. You know that because you belong to a church. People in church won't play fair. People in church will be against you. People in church will scandalize your name. People do not play fair. No, they don't. No, they don't. All is fair in love and war. You know how that works. I have a quote here by Leon Morris. This is the way Leon Morris puts this issue that Paul speaks about. He says, people without God's law do not see wrongdoing as it really is. And it takes the law to show that wrongdoing is sin. Let me read it again. People without God do not see wrongdoing for what it is. And it takes the law, that is God's word, the Bible, to show that wrongdoing is sin. That's why God gave you the law, to show you what is sin. Let's play guess what? Guess what? What? I've been married for 6 years. Things ain't going right now. Can I eject? Can I eject, Pastor John? The law. Pastor John, I'm unhappy with my employment. Oh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let somebody else employ me, and I'm not going to be employed. Oh. Am I right? What saith the law? See what I mean? Now people are saying, well, how do I know it's inspired of God? How do I know it meant that? Questions come in. We are all prone to do that. This is one of the reasons why Paul wrote this treatise here. Many, as Paul does in the text, must come to the reality of their own personal behavior as sinfulness. When you look at verse 7b, he says, I would not have come to know sin except through the law, for I would not have known about coveting if the law hadn't told me about what coveting was. Now, I want you to note the following. You may think that this is illogical, but it is a logical connection with what Paul does. The law discovers sin, but the law does not beget sin. Paul is raising an issue here now because Paul says, I should have never understood what the real nature of sin was, or the enormity of my guilt, nor the multitude of my offenses, but for the law. In other words, I am a covetous person. You're going to hear me further in the message say, why did Paul pick this commandment? Thou shalt not covet. There's only one reason that he chose this commandment. That was his mess. How did I know what coveting and looking at material things and wanting it unless the law told me, Paul, stop coveting what's not yours? You see, I know what you had in your mind. You thought Paul was like the hypocrite Christian. Paul is admitting, I have a problem, and my problem is covetousness. Now, how did I know that I have a problem unless God's law told me that I had a problem? Now, you think of what yours is. You think of what yours is. I know that there's some to believe in Romans chapter 7 that Paul is saying, oh, no, not him. He's speaking about the way he was. Well, why didn't he pick the first commandment? Why did he pick this one? And is it true that all of us have this same kind of brainiac problem with covetousness? No, it's not. You pick what yours is. How would I know what lust was unless I had a lust problem, right? How would I know what obesity was